Scientists use a beach to test out medicines on unsuspecting guests. Only problem is, the beach makes you age fast. We begin with the family being driven down a road, with the kids singing in the back having a good time. They are heading to a special vacation resort place. When they arrive, they get greeted by a hotel greeter. The family enters and the waitress gives the parents special drinks. Yummy alcohol. The kids, who aren't allowed to partake in the adult beverages, dig into a candy station, where they encounter a child out of nowhere. The siblings introduce themselves as Trent and Maddox. They leave and go to their fancy hotel room. Trent and Maddox start messing around and the dad, Guy, tells them to quit it. We then see that the kids are all dressed up and ready to hit the beach, but their dad jokingly says that there are no kids allowed on the beach. In response to this, Trent and Maddox mercilessly attack Guy while their mother Prisha watches. We later see the family at the beach with Trent and his new friend asking random couples what they do for a living. Come on, Trent, you know only the IRS can ask that. After receiving this information, Trent leaves the couple, never interacting with them again. We then see the boy telling Trent that he has no friends. Trent decides to fix that and the kid agrees. We return to the hotel room with the parents discussing a divorce and Priska's medical condition that they are hiding from their kids. As they loudly argue about this, the kids overhear this in the other room. Trent opens up a note with some spooky math symbols and decodes a message. I wonder how relevant this will be in the future. We cut to a couple out on a beach with a blonde girl doing some smexy stripping and walking out to sea to do some skinny dipping. Man, I wish I was a fish. We later see a different blonde lady at a hotel's restaurant telling a waiter that she needs calcium-rich food due to her calcium deficiency. Just drink some milk, lol. We go back to the main family with a hotel worker checking up on them. He informs them about a super secret special beach that they can vibe at. Hell yeah, super secret beach where nothing can go wrong. They agree, and we see Trent wave to the kid from before, who we now see is related to the host. Suddenly we see a girl having a seizure, and a doctor checks up on her while her husband, who is also a nurse, watches her. She calms down, and we find out that her name is Patricia, and the nurse is named Jaren. We cut to those kids in a van, and we see M. Night Shyamalan driving them. I guess directing all those movies didn't work out, huh? Suddenly, multiple families that we saw before entering the van as well. We then see Shyamalan open up a special gate and drive the van through it. The family exits the car with Shyamalan telling them to head down a special path to enter the beach. He also gives the dad a basket of food because he knows his kids are going to be hungry soon, and not for any sinister ulterior motive. One of the guests asks him to help carry some bags, but Shyamalan says, nah, and skedaddles. The guests head down the path and see some crows. They walk down some weird crevice-like cave, making it to the beach. The guests start setting up, and Charles notices someone vibing near some rocks. He decides to move away from him because he doesn't feel safe. Come on, man. Don't judge a guy by his rocks. The blonde mother starts stripping and taking selfies, and we see Priska just chilling with a book. She questions her husband if he knows what book she's reading, but he doesn't know. Reading is for nerds anyway. We then see Maddox recognizing the guy sitting alone as a famous rapper. His name is Sedan. What a sick rapper name. We later see the kids having fun out on the beach when Trent investigates a strange cave. His sister scares him and they run out. The kids play freeze tag, and after playing a bit, the kids say they are hungry and run off. The kids then find random toys stuck in the dirt. Hell yeah, free toys. However, they leave them and we see the kids playing hide and seek when a body suddenly floats up behind Trent. Oh no, a dead girl. This spooks him and he alerts his parents. We then see the naked lady from before, who is now dead. They take her nude corpse and the mothers leave to tend to their kids while the dads investigate. Suddenly, Sedan gets a bloody nose. Classic Sedan. The kids say that they are still hungry and we later see Sedan talking to the guests. He explains that the girl went out to the ocean on her own and that he didn't kill her. Meanwhile, Grandma Adams tells the blonde woman that she has some chest pains. What is she supposed to do about that? Trent tells his mom that his swimsuit is feeling a bit tight. Too bad she didn't pack an extra swimsuit. We return to the guys trying to figure out how the girl died, and Sedan keeps saying that he's innocent. Guy says it's all good. Charles then notices that there's no reception on the beach. Looks like someone doesn't use 5G. We later see Jaren come in with his girl Patricia as they arrive on the beach. The guests notice and say that they gotta quickly get to the hotel people before they leave so they can report the body. However, according to Jaren, they're gone already. Suddenly, Dr. Man Charles is called upon to investigate his elderly mother, and Jaren tries leaving through the cave only to get a headache. Damn cave headaches. We go back to Charles checking on his mother, who's feeling a bit better. Suddenly, Priska alerts everyone that there's something wrong with Trent. We then see that the kids have been unknowingly aging faster. Trent uses his new adult brain to notice some shiny stuff on the mountains. Suddenly, Grandma stops breathing. Oh no, dead Grandma. Charles does some chest compressions while Sedan still has his nosebleed. We then see Trent with Maddox asking Jaren and Patricia their names and occupations. Jaren decides to try guessing their ages. He assumes that Trent is 11, but he says he's 6. Jaren thinks they're trolling. Then Priska arrives and doesn't recognize her kids. She looks at them and is shook. Damn it. Kids, do you know how many birthday presents I need to buy now? Trent hugs his mama, and we see Guy run up, saying that they need to leave. Priska shows him Trent, and he is shocked too. Sedan thinks this is creepy and tries running with Charles chasing after him, thinking he's escaping from the murder of Blonde Lady. They run into the cave and get some fire headaches. They start tripping balls and wake back up on the beach. Charles claims that there was a lot of pressure in the cave. Prisca wants to leave and tells everyone to find a way to get off the beach. They try that, and we see everyone waking up randomly after their escape attempts fail. So much for that idea. Prisca goes to chat with Guy, who's suffering from shaky hand syndrome. He doesn't like that there are 2 dead people on the beach with them. Prisca tells him that she thinks her kids are suffering from an allergic reaction. Lady, what kind of reaction changes your child's actor? She wants to get Charles to look at the kids so he can find out what's wrong with them. Meanwhile, Charles pulls out a knife and slices Sedan's cheek. Jaren tells him to put down the knife, and Charles says he thought Sedan was gonna hurt him. Calm down, bro. He didn't even do anything. Sedan is mad, but it's revealed that the wound has already healed. Everyone is surprised and confused. Holy shit, he's the Wolverine. Sedan says his girl had MS and he did nothing to her on the beach. Patricia realizes that a lot of people arrived on the beach with diseases. Charles looks at the kids and says that they are aging fast. You don't say. The parents think it's some sort of virus, and then we find out the doggo is dead. They want to swim away to sea against the high currents, but nobody wants to volunteer. We later see Sedan telling Maddox that his real name is Brendan, and he came to the beach suffering from blood clots. Suddenly, group meeting. Charles' wife says that they are in a stressful relationship. Prisca says she feels a bit weird, and Guy mentions she has a benign tumor. Jaren asks where it is and realizes that it's huge. Damn, Prisca, you've got bigger balls than your husband. Prisca faints, and Guy tells the kids to leave them. Jaren gives Guy the decision on whether or not to cut out the tumor. He decides to go for it and asks for some alcohol. Charles, being the doctor he is, asks for some surgery stuff, and before he starts referencing a Jack Nicholson film. Hey man, this isn't the time to talk about that. He then cuts open the wound, only for it to immediately close. Oh shit, Prisca is also Wolverine. Jaren says they gotta hold the wound open, and Charles is still trying to remember the name of the Jack Nicholson film. Jaren has the balls to tell him to focus, and Charles cuts the wound open with everyone sticking their fingers into Guy's wife. They hold the wound open, and Jaren says the tumor is attached to some muscle. Eventually it gets cut out and removed. The wound seals itself and Prisca wakes up. Yay, beach magic. She inspects her wound and says she feels better. We then see Sedan check the woman's body only to find some neat bones. It appears that it decomposed. Prisca says that it takes 7 years for her body to decompose, and it's only been 3 hours. They realize time is moving faster. Prisca notices that Guy has wrinkles. While this is happening, we see Trent and a girl named Kara lying together in a tent. Back to Prisca, she believes that half an hour on the beach is a year, and Jaren reveals that since the kids are growing fast, they gotta eat a lot. Back to Kara, who's still with Trent, she tells him that she's getting some adult thoughts. Uh-oh, we all know where this is going. Prisca asks why their hair and nails aren't growing, and Jaren says that it's because the cells are already dead. Wait, but aren't the hair roots still alive? They should all look like Bigfoot at this point. Jaren concludes that being on the island is like being deep underwater, and if they slowly walk through the cave, they might make it out without a headache. Prisca then realizes that the kids are gone, and when they find them, they notice that Kara is still eating. But Trent finally isn't hungry anymore. Great job on getting over your eating disorder, Trent. The adults then see that Kara is a bit chubby. Hold up, she's pregnant? That means... Oh, Trent, you dirty dog. Kara's mom is mad, and Maddox tries comforting Trent. While this is happening, Charles is still trying to figure out the name of that Jack Nicholson movie. Jaren thinks that Kara is about 5 months pregnant. He tells her to lie down, and the adults explain to Kara that she's pregnant. She doesn't fully grasp the concept due to having the mind of a 5-year-old. Her mom decides to run away, and we see that Trent is fully committed to marrying her. Hell yeah, way to not be a deadbeat. Maddox consoles the runaway mother, and we see that the baby is born. Everyone is happy when suddenly the baby stops crying. It appears the baby fucking died. Trent is upset upon hearing this. Charles tries to comprehend this and punches sand and asks who the hell Jaren is. He then tells his wife to put on some makeup. Based. Maddox tries apologizing to the blonde, who tells her a story about her first love, whom she still thinks about. Slut. She then tells Maddox to leave her alone. In other news, Patricia is screaming due to witnessing Charles stabbing Sedan to death. Bit of an overreaction, don't you think? While this is happening, we see someone watching the carnage from a hill. Guy takes Charles' knife from him and gives it to his wife, who puts it in her bag. We then see Charles, who seems to have a staring problem. Jaren decides to be the hero and take the swim in the ocean due to his wife needing her seizure pills. He enters the water and swims away. We then see Guy suggest using the rocks to climb out of the beach. Trent offers to do it, but Prisca says no. Yeah, we can't have our youngest and strongest person climb. After this, we cut to Charles, who's talking to himself, saying he's feeling overwhelmed. Later, we see Guy ask Prisca about how she found out about the hotel, and she says she won a sweepstakes thingy that came with her pharmacy bill. Damn hospitals. They also realize that the hotel people can make it look like they disappeared due to having access to their personal documents. Ruh-roh. Later, Maddox confronts her mom about leaving Guy, and she says that she was going to leave him for someone else. Bruh. Maddox leaves her and walks into the ocean. She starts feeling woozy and comes across Jaren's body. It seems he failed swimming class because he's dead. We cut to Patricia, who starts grieving. Kara leaves and Trent follows her to the cave. She says that it's not fair that they're going to die before living a normal life. Trent understands and responds to this by taking her blanket of bones and burying it. Suddenly, Kara starts climbing. Trent says she might feel dizzy, but she doesn't care. He tries going after her, but gets stopped by the adults. Suddenly, Kara starts feeling woozy but keeps climbing. Hell yeah, girl power. She slips but keeps at it. Charles notices she is nearing a ledge where she could rest. She suddenly stops. She seems sleepy, mistakes a rock for a bed, and decides to take a forever nap. Trent is sad and cries into his dad's arms. Guy says that everyone should stay close together as a group. Patricia wants to use some pool floaties to swim out when suddenly plot happens and she gets a seizure. She stops for a second and continues, and eventually some sussy white stuff comes out of her mouth. We now see that Patricia is dead and Trent starts seeing stuff blurrily. We later see the blonde mother looking for Kara while covering herself. We return to Trent, who wants to take the swim but gets told no. Bruh, stop cock blocking our boy's escape attempts. Priska then realizes she's deaf in one ear. We cut to the blonde looking at her bad back, realizing her calcium deficiency is making her bones bad. We return to Guy admitting to Priska that he knows that she is having an affair with him. Guy disapproves of the man she's dating, saying that he is a joke. Priska then says she wants to be with Guy now and he agrees. We cut to Trent and Maddox digging through some garbage in the sand. She finds a journal about someone trying to figure out what's up with the beach. Apparently, the rocks are special and they make cells age. Trent wants to make a metal tube to exit safely, but Maddox thinks it's impractical. Trent explains to Maddox that he figured out that the strange hill lights are cameras and they're being recorded. Oh no, they're gonna end up on a cringe compilation, aren't they? We cut to night when we see someone grab a knife out of a bag. We then hear some strange moaning when we see someone crawling from the darkness. They get up and they see that it's Charles and he is not happy. He doesn't want them to snitch that he killed Sedan and starts attacking Guy. His wounds heal though, so he's okay. Thanks, magic rocks. Charles explains that he thought Sedan was going to rob him when he got home, so that's why he killed him. Bruh. He continues to attack Guy and then Priska, but she escapes and runs off to get something to help Guy. She finds her kids and tells them to hide. They run to the cave when they hear the blonde lady crying. Her body is aching due to a lack of calcium. She also seems to be suffering from vanity as she doesn't like being looked at. Trent explains to her that Kara is dead, and as she is about to throw a rock onto them out of anger, she drops it on herself, breaking her shoulder. Dumbass. We cut back to Guy, who's being assaulted by Charles, and back to the cave where we see that the blonde's bones are healing wrong. Just give her some milk and she'll be fine. She keeps telling them to turn off their lighters so she can't be seen. Trent doesn't listen and keeps it on like the Chad he is. She crawls after them, constantly breaking bones that immediately heal until she becomes a human spider. Returning to Guy, we see that he's about to get cut when Priska comes in clutch with a rusted piece of metal. It turns out that Charles didn't get his tetanus shot and is dying of rust poisoning. His skin turns into the same color as Sedan's and Charles proceeds to die to death. The kids, or should I say adults, return just in time to see the body. Trent gives Priska some water and we see that everyone is much older. Maddox starts singing to her mom while Guy smiles at Trent. Guy seems to have forgotten about what he and Priska were fighting about. He also forgets why he wants to leave the beach. Great. Now we gotta explain this whole movie again. Trent reveals that he still loves Priska despite the dementia. Suddenly Guy dies of old age. Priska decides to take this opportunity to walk out on the beach and get a heart attack. The next day, we see that the kids have gotten much older. Hey, look, Trent's almost got a mustache. Maddox says they have about 13 hours left to live. Trent touches Maddox, who says they just got 3 days older as he touched her. They decide to make a sandcastle and act young while they still can. Maddox wonders if everyone still feels young when they are old. This makes Trent suddenly remember the encoded message that the kid from the hotel gave him. He decides to take the opportunity to decode it. He solves it with his adult brain and finds out that the coral around the beach might be able to halt the aging process. Maddox doesn't believe him but goes along with it anyway. They go out to sea and start swimming. The two see the coral and enter a cool-looking coral cave. However, Maddox is stuck on some coral. Trent tries to untie her but is struggling. And now I present to you the hill person who has been watching the beach this whole time. Oh shit, it's M. Night Shyamalan again. He makes a very important call and says both of them drowned. Phone guy asks if he's sure, and Shyamalan says that he watched them for a minute and a half. He believes that everyone on the beach died and returns to his van. He goes back to base and we see all the guests' medical conditions on a fancy monitor. We also see lab people making special drinks and a cool-looking rock locked in the cage. The hotel host makes an announcement calling for a moment of silence for the guys who died on the island. He then reveals that they were using the beach to test out new medicines and how they work overtime. Immoral, but still pretty big-brained. Then, a lab guy explains that they gave her medication that prevented her from having seizures. Back to the host guy, he explains that the beach was a gift from nature to help them study medicine. The girl tells them that more people are coming, and the lab boy says to separate the mentally ill from the physically ill, revealing in the process that Charles was schizophrenic. I knew it. Only a crazy guy would like Jack Nicholson. We cut back to the hotel, and we see the kid from before just standing there. His uncle comes and tells him that Trent and Maddox went home. The kid doesn't believe him when suddenly we see Trent gives a special notebook to a police dude. We cut to new guests arriving at the hotel. We see new special drinks being served to the guests when Trent comes out of nowhere, smashing the drinks before telling the guests not to drink the adult beverages, revealing who he is. Host guy is confused. The police guy then makes a fancy police report with Trent's information. Trent starts telling everyone the names and addresses of everyone who died on the beach with them, to the shock of the lab guys. Trent then shows the kid from before his special cipher, and the kid realizes it's Trent. We return to the past, where we see a crack forming in the coral, which releases Maddox, allowing Trent and her to get some air. They swim to the surface and float a bit. They realize that they're okay and are away from the beach. We later see a helicopter take Trent and Maddox home, with a cop saying that they arrested everyone at the hotel. They are going to be taken home to their aunt. We then get a shot of the ocean, and the movie ends. Time. It's always moving forward and could catch up with us at any moment. That's why you should subscribe to Smerk right now before your time is up. You should also check out this video about the FBI catching up with this con man. You might learn a thing or two about avoiding the inevitable from this true story.